an expert at like text-based communication, which is why, you know, my other account is Riot Copy, and I'm trying to break into copywriting. But not being able to hear has made me kind of have a preference for text.
Broadcasting to
but
Twitter.
it also can be really kind of cold and impersonal. So being able to talk to people and form those deeper connections is, I think, really essential for like movement building.
There goes another one.
I
Two
totally
email
agree.
notifications.
Also,
3 emails.
name's
3,
Dee,
4,
right?
4 beautiful email notifications.
The co-host, your name is Dee, correct? Okay.
Count them
Sorry,
all.
I can't call you that. I just wanted to confirm.
Sheba.
Anyway,
What's up
I'm
with
in New
Sheba?
York, so
Ooh, 33%.
if you ever want to
Yeah.
study for the LSAT together, let me know.
Oh my god, that would be lit. I need to I need
Literally.
a few weeks. I need to compose myself, because also I've been talking about I want to do stream with Nick and stuff. I just need a little bit of time. Like, my life is just a mess, but I'm totally down later. That'll be really fun.
Let me
Or if you just
refresh the
wanna chill
chat
wherever, I'm in
because it's
Harlem,
not
just let
showing
me
the
know.
number of
Yeah.
people.
If you don't have Halloween plans, I think me and my friends are doing something, so just let me know. I'm here.
Yeah. No, that's really nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
My name is Max, by the way. Easy to remember, right?
Yeah, it said maxed out. Is that what it said? Oh, maxed out solar. Yeah.
Hey, Jacob.
You
Well,
got
I'm
my
Alex,
name,
as you can
Joel.
see in my name.
And I'm Joel. Yeah. Just living down here in Texas, born and raised.
Bro, I'm from Louisiana. I get it.
Yeah, my well, not.
Well, tell me where we're from.
Mississippi. But she
Oh,
lived
yeah.
in Louisiana. She fucking told me how terrible it was.
Yeah, the South is shitty. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I feel like I'm in the better part of the South though. Like in Texas, it's not that bad because you're hanging out with the Latinos.
What part of
It's great.
Texas?
Just in North Texas.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with North Texas, but I have a
Yeah, I
friend
see
that's
you
in
in there,
Austin. She
dude.
goes to
You little
UT
fucking troll
Austin.
bitch ass.
And then
I see
my
you in
cousin
there.
used to live in Beaumont.
I got you
I
blocked.
used to live in
I got
Beaumont
your
as
ass
a kid,
fucking
really.
blocked a long
I was
time ago
born
on
in
Twitter,
Hobbs, New
bro.
Mexico, and then we moved to Beaumont, Texas. Not to interrupt you, but my dad is a chemical
Stupid
engineer,
fucking
so we moved
worthless
around a
tweets that
little
you
bit
put
when I
out
was
there.
Younger.
Yeah, well.
I had to stop following
I've
you.
lived in my same hometown forever, so.
Okay.
I don't know what it's
That's
like.
really
put up the
common. I feel
dumbest
like a lot
shit,
of people
bro.
stay in the same area. Because I remember I had a
I'm like,
university,
you know,
my
here
high school
I've
teacher,
given
he
you a
lived in the
place
town
where
that
you
he
can
fucking
go
taught
and you
high
can
school with,
express
and he was fucking 45. I'm like,
some
bitch, you fucking
intelligence, man.
he lived in a few little towns.
You can listen
a
to
town,
smart people
over
talk,
and stuff like that.
and you go in there and you spread your shit up on the walls like a
hyper-concentrated area
baby.
your whole life.
He's
Like,
got
what
his
the
fucking
fuck?
diapers in a
Yeah,
wallet.
I have like a
I'm like,
huge
what
family,
is
and,
what are
like,
these memes you fucking
like
post? What
all
is
my
this?
family that was born in America, like only
got a few
2
followers?
people
Yeah.
have ever left their hometown. And, like,
You treat
That's
Twitter
interesting.
like
because one was-
Facebook,
only
bro.
because one was in the Air Force.
You know, people need to
And one, was
you need to listen to what people are
smart,
putting on
became
Twitter and
engineer,
realize
moved
that's
all
Yeah.
around the world. So, like,
that's what people
only
are
2
doing,
of
man.
us
They're
have
not
ever,
fucking
like,
putting up
made it
stupid
out of the
shit,
mud,
baseball
so,
cards.
Yeah.
You know, whatever
Yeah,
the
most
fuck
of my
you're
family's
putting up.
still in Louisiana, like basically suburban New Orleans, and like I dragged my sister and my mom and my dad to California, and then me and my dad moved to New York, and my sister and my mom and my sister's husband are still in California, but like
Anyhow,
most of my family.
welcome to the Gun Show.
And I just tell them like, y'all have to leave, y'all have to get out. Like,
You guys see that? The Gun Show?
My
The
friend-
Gun
Yeah, the
Show.
interesting thing, like with being like Indian, like diaspora,
I brought my
like
guns.
the only family I have like in the United States would be my parents.
Yeah, I was wearing my
and then,
little
like, a
cutoff
random
shirt. I was
uncle
like,
that
oh,
lives
this
in
is
Silicon
showing my
Valley.
arms
Like, I know
today.
like Rome, like he has 5
Hey,
sisters.
Gussie.
He has,
I'm like
2 brothers. I think like he has
Facebook.
all his
I'm
family's in
still stuck
Detroit.
in
Like that's
Facebook
something that I don't think about. Like
times.
then I wouldn't want to live that. I wouldn't want to leave my whole family, right?
Maybe
like,
I'll
everyone's, like,
unblock
in
you on
the same area,
Twitter,
but,
bro,
like,
if you
for
start
me, like,
tweeting
all
better.
I have is my parents, so I mean that's another element.
I
Like, when
mean,
people have big families, like, I don't
blocking
have
you
any family
obviously
but
didn't stop
basically,
you from
right, except,
fucking
like, a couple
following me
family
around
members here and
into
there.
every single
It's
chat
just
room that I
different,
went
right?
into. And I gotta say,
no,
Jacob,
I didn't want, like,
you're the only
it was
one.
bittersweet.
The
Like,
one
I miss
person
my
that I
family, I
blocked
miss a lot
on
of my
Twitter
friends in New
is the
Orleans, but,
only
like,
person that
it
shows
was
up
to
when
the
I'm
point
speaking
where
in
there wasn't an
spaces.
option,
And I gotta
like,
tell you, Jacob,
I was working
I'll
a job,
unblock you,
and I
man.
didn't,
You know,
like,
thank
out
you.
of college,
You're the
and I was
only
like, I don't
one.
wanna do this anymore. Like, I just
Everyone
took a
else that
job,
follows
there
me on
were
Twitter, no
fucking
one wanted to come
options.
into my
Like,
fucking
when I
spaces
tell
with
you
me.
there are no
Nobody.
options there are no fucking
I'm
options.
figuring
Like, I
they're
had to
blocked
go.
from going into
I was like, I
spaces,
can't
but I
do
don't
this.
know.
Like, I have to
No
leave
one has
because I
said
need a
anything
different
to me
job.
about
Like,
it.
my mom couldn't really get
I think I
serve a job there anymore because she was,
saw
like, getting
Karen
older, and
in
again,
one of
like,
them.
they want to hire the
Actually,
young girls,
I
especially
think
in,
I
like,
saw.
a
Oh, I
touristy
did
place
see
like
Nick
New
in one of
Orleans.
the
Like, they
spaces
want
I was
to
in.
hire
That's
women,
right.
and, like, she
But
couldn't
you
get a
know,
job to
people
pay
are
her bills,
busy.
and
You
I
guys
was,
have
like,
lives. You don't have
helping
time to
her pay
talk
her
to people.
bills, and like it was just getting to the
You
point where
followed
I'm
them
like,
long
okay,
ago?
I can do this, but like,
All right.
if I'm ever gonna go back to school, I
Let's
can't
smoke.
pay your
Quarter of
bills
the hour,
when
no
I
longer
can
regarding
go back
cannabis.
to
Cannabis
school.
is
So
just
like,
cheers,
I was like,
everybody.
fuck it, like we gotta leave. So I did my research, and like I had worked for the government in Louisiana, and I was like, oh well, if we move to Sacramento, that's the capital, I can get a government job. So we packed up, we went to Sacramento, got jobs, and been way better off since then. So And then I was like, well, now I'm getting a job in New York, so I moved again.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've lived in many different places. Like I've lived in New Mexico, I've lived in Texas, I've lived in Illinois, I've lived in North Dakota because of my dad's job, and I think it's cool. Like it's cool to experience. Like one thing I actually really liked North Dakota. I used to live. I get paranoid about someone like doxing me, but basically the town that I lived in, which I'm not gonna specify, the people were the nicest fucking people. Like they were like, I think they were like all Methodist, like Indian. Like we were completely like out of our element, but they were really fucking nice to us. Like we didn't really. Like it was just they were a lot nicer than we expected. I kind of miss that kind of like small town type of thing, you know.
How did you move from?
It's not all bad.
How did you move from San Diego to New York, though? I mean, I'm really confused because San Diego's got the nicest weather and the nicest people. New York.
I think she said Sacramento, right?
I was in Sac.
Oh, you said Sacramento, not San Diego. Yeah. Okay, well, Sacramento is different.
Yeah, San Diego is like ideal. It's expensive, but like the weather is nice. Like the people are chill. Like I've thought about like San Diego's very idyllic. My whole thing is I don't want the responsibility of owning a car, and I don't think the public transportation, from what I've heard, is really good there. No, then that kind of rules it out for me.
Yeah. See, I like California.
Right on, Jacob.
Don't get me wrong. I like California. I don't really like LA.
See if I can unblock your
Sacramento was just it was
Twitter.
Cheaper, and like it was the capital, so I knew I could get a state job because that's where my experience is. It's working for the government. So I was like, well, that's my best bet as far as a job goes, because I was literally packing up and like chancing it. So like I was like, I have to go where like I'm more likely to get a job. So
unblock. I can do it right from here.
And it worked out. What's that?
All right, you're unblocked.
It's like taking like a risk and a chance, like immigrants, you know. Like,
yeah, basically I considered myself kind of like an immigrant in my own country. Like I didn't really have a choice, so that's the thing. Like
she has
literally there were no options.
She's intelligent.
My family, like my grandparents,
intelligent
like,
women
they were
always
even
sound
like
sexy.
in their 20s when they came over, and like
Isn't that amazing?
And it's like crazy to me because it's like if I would have gone to college and gotten a job that actually pays me a living wage and pays me enough to help my family, like we'd all be fucked. We'd all be absolutely fucked. And I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Like that's what radicalized me too. I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Like it should not be on one person. You used
to get followed by Mark Zuckerberg.
Like it's just ridiculous. Like I do it for works and I'm glad to, but like it shouldn't be that way because like had I not, what the fuck would have happened? Like it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of reading and learning about like unemployment, salary, compensation statistics in like the deaf and hard of hearing community, and it's atrocious. Like 53% of the deaf population is employed.
The what? Deaf?
Yeah, 53%. 53.
Well, if we want to talk about statistics as far as employment goes, my family, both my parents are convicted felons, and they couldn't get jobs because in Louisiana, well, I mean, my mom like was a server, but like again, couldn't get a decent job because of like, you know, she was getting older, and like even the manager jobs, a lot of places wouldn't hire because she's a convicted felon, and it's like in California, it's a law that they can't hold it against you if it's been so long, and like. So they couldn't hold it against her, so she actually could get a job in California, and she did. Thankfully.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just there were no fucking options in Louisiana. Like when I tell, like I'm not even exaggerating. You know, like she could not pay her bills. She was working 80 fucking hours, driving Lyft, and working full time at a restaurant, and could not pay her fucking bills because she was in so much debt. And it's like
straight.
The only option is to return to crime.
Nonsense.
Right. But that's why I was like, okay, we gotta get the fuck out of here.
Out of your mouth that you're speaking in some foreign,
that makes me so angry.
Old elder language.
That's what people don't understand.
Is that
it's
what
like,
you believe?
Obviously, there are a lot of things people talk about as far as criminal justice system goes, which are
espouse
justified.
nonsense like you do. What the fuck? That's all you're doing. You're talking like a baby with more syllables.
In the conversation as much as like
I can hear you from the radio.
It just people don't fucking get it, dude. Like they don't get it. Like the trauma.
Speaking in tongues is
through, seeing your fucking parents
not a thing,
behind,
Gussie.
Like,
it's
glass,
you're making
and, like,
bullshit up,
them,
trying to convince yourself that there is a God.
Like, not only that, but like the effects afafterwards. Like your parents don't have shit.
When you speak in tongues, you're just speaking.
You either do or you
nonsensical.
Fucking go, like you have no fucking
meaningless.
You have nothing.
bullshit.
You have nothing.
I can't even believe you try
And,
to tell
like,
people you're
they
speaking
don't
in
even
tongues.
make sure that
Oh
you
yes,
have,
I'm speaking
like,
in a lost
For example, like, if you
language
get
that
arrested or
only
whatever,
I can
there's no
understand.
like, oh, do you have a kid?
Where's
Where's your kid at? Is your kid here? Nothing like that. So, like, say you get pulled over, you get arrested, your kid's sitting at home waiting for you. Tough fucking luck. If you have nobody else to, like, help go get the
Holy
kid or
Spirit
notify
flows
the
through
kid,
me.
like, you're literally fucked. So, like,
Yeah. Does that include
it's just-
minors, by the way?
what's that?
Does that include minors?
Yeah, like there's nothing, there's no safeguard in place to where it's like, oh, do you have a kid at home? Are they being like nothing? It's not required
That's
that they ask.
horrific.
Nothing like that.
Man, this
So
is
like, people don't understand. Like, I've literally watched cops wrestle my mom to the ground on like a fucking traffic stop, and like this cop literally this lady was walking by, like he pulled us over or whatever, and she was like, literally they wrestled her to the ground, okay, and like this lady was walking by, and like she was like, oh, I'll take her. The cop let me, a fucking 8-9-year-old girl, go with some random fucking lady in the neighborhood. I'm like, thank God this lady was
it's
a fucking
Bitcoin's
murderer.
going
She
under
was like,
60,000 right now, guys. The low, it's only 200 away from the 24-hour low. If you're looking to purchase some Bitcoin,
And I'm like, what is going on right now? And I'm terrified.
Looks like a buy-in moment.
Watching them wrestle my mother to the ground, okay?
Yeah, it sounds like a really bad situation, especially for people who are like non-white, like indigenous,
Bro.
you know, racial minorities. Like that's probably how like a lot of
Yes.
that fucking trafficking
I'm
shit
white.
happens.
I'm white, and I've seen it happen to like my white parents. Okay?
Yeah, fuck that.
So I can't even imagine how it happens to like non-white people, like literally ridiculous. But yeah, so like I can tell you shit that like you would not believe. So anyway, yeah, and I'm like, nobody fucking talks about this shit. Nobody talks about this.
I get it. My girlfriend from Mississippi, and like every day I'm learning new shit. Like that's
Yep.
so fucked. And she
Yo.
showed me a picture of the house that she lived in, and it's like
Y'all,
a trailer and like broken ass
I-
floor, no carpet, no
Yep.
shit
I-
like that. Like
it's shit. It's absolutely. It's like some parts of the South are like a fucking like honestly like a
Third world.
country. I'm
third
not
world
joking.
Like no dead
Like,
ass. Like some places.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I just when I start talking, I can't like it's. I'm sorry. It's my hyperactivity
No,
part of my
like-
ADHD.
Like literally
my-
in some places.
Shiba Inu's
drove
dropping
away
as you're speaking,
in New Orleans, and like
Jacob.
parts of the Ninth Ward still have not
It just dropped
recovered from Hurricane
2%.
Katrina, and like some of these houses, like literally the Ninth Ward looks like still like it's just abandoned, like a third. It's literally ridiculous. Like I would get so pissed off driving through there because these people are just living in fucking abject poverty and nobody gives a fuck. And I'm just like, this shit is ridiculous. Like
Now
it's so
Matic
bad.
is blasting,
like,
dude.
you
Holy
know,
shit!
People
Matic
don't.
is at $1.90.
People just don't understand.
Dollar-
Like it
$1.94. $1.80. My bad.
nowhere in the
Okay.
United States is ideal, but like when I tell people how much better it is in California
So
than it is
insane.
in the South, like people just it's like they don't even comprehend. Like I'm like, no, y'all understand. Y'all think it's bad here. It's fucking terrible in the South. Like it's
And that's
so
after
bad. And like
dropping a massive
it's-
amount.
you know,
It went all the way up to
I
194.
don't know. I mean, it's just it's really sad. And like I went to LSU, and like when you like inmates in like the state prisons literally go clean up LSU's campus on the weekends, and like they also go clean up the state buildings downtown Baton Rouge, and like because LSU's in Baton Rouge, right? And like I also worked for the state after I graduated, and the inmates would go clean up the state buildings, and I would see them cleaning, and I'm just like the only one like telling them, oh, thank you, like I'm the only person acknowledging these people, and like
Because
the
they're
whole
being
time, 'cause, like,
punished,
my
man.
dad,
People don't want to thank.
he was in
inmates.
state prison.
They're like, you're
Like
in
I
fucking
think he used to
prison.
work
You're
at
doing your
Capitol or
goddamn
whatever, and the
punishment.
whole
I'm not
time
going
I'm
to thank
thinking
you.
like, damn, like 10 years ago,
Part of the punishment.
I would have been seeing my dad work in these buildings
You know,
as an
being treated
inmate, cleaning
like an
fucking, I'm like, this is
insignificant member of
literally
society.
like some Twilight Zone shit, okay?
It
And I
really
just- it
is
feels-
slave labor, honestly.
Literally.
There's
No,
no
actually-
other way to put it.
It is. And
It
it's
is,
just, it's
though. They're
crazy
right. It
because
is. They
My
enslave
mom would
those
talk
people.
about how like even
They
these
enslave them.
80-year-old women in prison
I
in
do not-
Louisiana, like you have to have a job, even if they're just literally wiping a counter all day. They have to have a job, and I'm like, what the fuck? It's just it's the shit that they tell me. Like y'all don't even like. My mom was arrested like right after Katrina. She was in OPP, Orleans Parish Prison, so in New Orleans, and like she said it was a shit show. Like right after Katrina, like it was moldy, like it was a free for all, like it was so shitty. Like it was just the stories they
buy
told
the
me. I
dip-
swear to God, y'all would not believe half this shit.
It's down to 34. It's dipping a
It's
lot.
so fucking bad.
No, I believe it now.
I'm sure a lot of you are aware. I'm sure some of you are aware. Some of you may not be aware, but the Clintons, like, their mansion in Arkansas was literally staffed with slave fucking prison labor.
Prison labor, yep. I remember
Shit
hearing
is
about
wild.
That shit. Like slavery
They
is
get
still
off
here.
on it.
And it's not just here in like
Power,
America,
it's like
it's here like all over the world, you know, through imperialism and things like that. So it's
So
not
where
wrong.
I live in a place called Frederick, Maryland, and we're about an hour outside of Washington D.C. and an hour outside of Baltimore. I've lived here more or less my entire life, but there was a brief I had a brief stint in my life when I lived in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and that's when I was working canvassing jobs and campaign jobs and working. I worked for Clean Water Action PA. I worked for Fieldworks doing voter registration, and I worked for CASA in Action doing like immigrant advocacy and stuff like that. And we were talking earlier about like serving jobs and stuff. I was a what's it called, a bouncer, like security at a high volume nightclub in Harrisburg. That was just on the weekends, and during the week I did my regular, organizing, canvassing type work.
Imagine a bouncer who's half deaf.
That's like 20 minutes outside of
And you're
Hershey,
like,
Pennsylvania.
dude, we need you over here. He's like,
that's where
hey,
Hershey
so
Park
what
is.
are you doing tomorrow, huh?
All of, like,
Dude, there's a fight
chocolate
over
is
here.
made
Yeah,
with,
man,
like,
I'm about,
slave
I'm benching
Like, I'm
about
not kidding.
380.
Like the cocoa,
Dude!
everything. I don't know about
Bouncer!
the packaging and stuff. Like, I don't know if they use like prison labor in the United States or whatever.
Richard Sunday
But it's
Jr.,
just
good
wild
morning.
to
Welcome
me
back to the show.
How
Shiba's market
widespread,
cap is now
and
24
rampant, like,
billion.
slavery still is
Get ready for
today.
the
Like,
climb.
that
Yeah,
never
okay.
went away.
Genta.
That's just
My
clever
friend is
marketing
eating
and branding
something
from the
with
United
his
States
camera on,
government.
and we're
We
all
got
staring
rid
him
of
down
all
with devious
racism when we
intent. Can
killed
you please
MLK.
smoke to
Now
that?
everything's back to normal. Everything's good now. We can
He's
let the
eating
healing begin.
something. I eat with my camera on sometimes, cooking with Nay, bro.
I just wanted to mention that.
What? Did we lose them? Did I lose you guys? Uh-oh. What happened? Everything crashed. Cheers, guys. I closed it out. I'll go right back in, Jake. Hey, Megs. Who are the 4 people that are here? Everybody press 1 in the live stream right now. Everyone type 1. If there's really only 4 people watching the show, let me know. Dude, Shiba Inu just dropped to 29%. I might want to buy that dip, after all. Dude, my internet's not working on my cell phone. Connected without internet, it says. Oh, dude, that looks just like my doggy. He's got the same color in his face. Beezel. Man, it looks like my Beezel. Dude, that looks like my Beazle. It looks like my Beazle right there. My Beazle. My Beezy. It's got the same colors. Cute. Dude, I can't find the chat. Not funny. Oh, son of a bitch. The only way to get in is through following one of these people.
Is that your expected reply to everybody who doesn't agree with you on every single issue?
No, look, and I'm gonna be no. Just look, I've spoken to the two of you. Both of you have been willing to have
Doge is dipping
and grow, and I've seen that over the past
Doge,
time.
why you dipping?
Spaces, but at this point in time, for you, by the people, I just want you to know
23,
that
you're right. It's way down. Everything's dipping right now.
Just gotta take all
This
this
is a
in
dip.
and give yourself some time.
Oh my God! Bitcoin
Right.
just dumped.
We're trying to move on to
58.5.
something else. All right. So
Wow, Bitcoin just dumped, man. If you want to buy,
I'm taking notes,
holy
everybody.
shit!
Right? I'm taking a lot of notes tonight.
Am I on your shit list now?
I have lists. I have different lists for different things.
Am I on your kiss on the forehead list?
Yeah, you're on the kiss.
Oh, are you on am I on your kiss on the forehead list?
hey, can I bring something up real quick?
Do you want head pats?
I do. Okay, that was why I brought it up.
Okay, well then yes, you can go.
Okay, I got my. What do y'all think about? Like, I know usually us are not into electoral politics, but what do y'all think about India Walton up in Buffalo, New York? Is it?
That's all you.
Does that problem? Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, yeah. The system in itself is designed not to uphold socialist individuals in power.
I don't know why these guys won't let me talk. Oh, there you go. Just when I said that, they let me talk.
Ensuring that we don't get the slices of the pie, and that's the problem we have, is that not enough people are willing to fight back on a mass scale, and the only major thing we have right now is in our hands is our labor. It's the only thing that's scaring the capitalists.
So everything just dipped, but it's okay. It's all recovering really fast. We're gonna recover. Don't worry. That was a crazy market crash. I wonder what just caused the entire. You guys, I've got 3 viewers. Let me see. How many people press 1? Richard, Megsy, and Kevin. Seriously, it's Richard, Megsy, and Kevin. There's no one else here, guys. I can restart the show with a new title and say, all the crypto just crashed. We can cover that live. Noopy, we could get more people here if I probably retitle it and say the entire, people don't want to come to the gun show. People don't want to come to the gun show. People don't want to come to the gun show. At least you guys do. It's late. It's 1 o'clock in the morning.
I want to say something real quick. And I did take this little bit of time to think a little bit. I smoked weed, generally known as a little bit, but
Bro, don't you fucking derail this conversation. Not derail. I will kick you for real, no matter how much I fucking like you.
Buddy, nobody even smokes weed anymore.
Dude, hey, dude, I'm high right now too, man.
No.
Nobody's even getting high anymore.
I just want to say.
Oh, you're getting high. I'm high as fuck.
I just want to say one thing. And this is a halfway apology, because I do understand my position is not everybody's position. I want everyone in this chat to understand one thing. Wherever you're at, I respect you. You know what I mean? Whatever your feelings are, I do respect
I'm learning
them.
a lot more
I
about
don't
people.
in any capacity
They
think
kicked
that I
you?
have any ability
Why did they kick you?
to lord over you or to have the capacity
Why'd
to
they
talk
kick you,
over
Jacob?
or be that thing that defines you. That's not my ability. I want you to know that.
Did
And
they end it?
I really want you to know that, because
I'm in
to
another
me,
chat
that's
now.
that's the worst part of all of this stuff that we're talking about. And maybe we do have the conversation at some point in time, but it's not on me to deliver that to you. It's not on me to force that on you. And I do want to actually say, because I really have thought about this, because I know my
How
own
many
position.
one is
It's been
down?
hard as hell to even be a believer, to look at the world, the disgusting nature of this, and still believe
Sheba's
in
down
a
to 17.
loving God. It's been a hell for me. I just want to let yeah. And I just want to say that for everyone here, I hold no judgment on you, and I truly, I mean this honestly, truly am sorry for in any capacity being a representation of what you guys hated most about that institution, because I probably would agree with you. And I really do mean this. I am sorry if I did bring this up, and the hardships and the horribleness that has came with so much of this. And I really do want you to understand I'm sorry about that.
I'm just gonna one last time, man, because this
You're forgiven, man. You're
Yeah.
forgiven, dude. All right.
just
Let's
take
move
this,
on.
just take
7:10.
take a break from the
It's
space
7:10.
right now, and
Thanks,
then
Maggie.
like sleep it off, and then come back to us when you're not like where you're at right
A
now.
game. Come back in your A game.
Yeah, we want you to actually gain A game, man.
You got this.
Yeah, I believe in you. Just take a break from the space, get some sleep. And I want to see you back again, and we'll actually process all this later. All right?
I'm gonna fucking stay. I'm gonna be quiet and just listen to you guys, but I'll stay. This is actually something that I don't think I'm gonna regret, but I do mean that. But I'm just gonna be quiet.
Hey, man. I've been faded before, bro. But look, let's just keep going forward.
Yeah.
Yo, by the people.
So Amy Walton is going to be a failure because of, well, number one, she's running as a fucking Democrat.
Right.
And number two, she's still operating in a capitalist fucking system. We have no hope in the electoral politics, man. Look what happened to Nina Turner. She came out talking about access to healthcare. What the fuck? She lost all her progressive, so-called progressive momentum. And now she's working for fucking TYT. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I know. And
It's all a big fucking joke.
Yeah. So I'm just like, we like I said before, we have the thing, we have the power in our hands. We can change the course of the future. And so, give me a card? Yes, it will. People like Amy Walton, it does disappoint me when she's calling up to these now established Dems. And you got same thing with Nina Turner doing this coddling with TYT.
No law regarding
It's
cannabis.
not a good
Cannabis
look.
is just for all everybody.
I
too.
just don't see it as them being the stewardship of the left. I see them as them playing the inside game. So that's where I see it at right now. So
I'm gonna head out. It was nice to meet all of you that I hadn't met before. And
Good night.
yeah, good night.
yeah, it's good to meet you, Ella. I'll see you around. All right.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Nia Turner, actually as her campaign manager, put freaking Jeff Weaver in a position of power, which is probably the most disgusting thing potentially possible, because there is actually a bunch of people who were talking to Bernie Sanders about reaching out to the black community in their voting. And I know this for a fact because I actually talked to, like, Bernie Sanders, you know, the people who answer his phone in his office. I spent, like, over 20... Actually, let's use 2020, you know, the election. I spent probably...
I've only got 4 viewers, guys.
These people take a lot of calls. And one of the things I really spent a great deal of time talking to them about is the nature of Black America and the nature of just understanding.
Can you believe this? I've got 4 viewers.
Black America versus the rest of America.
I know it's 1 o'clock in the morning, but what time is it in Australia? It's 6 p.m. Where's all my Australian fans at?
Like, you know, campaign people, not low level, but low level campaign people who talk.
Can you guys in Australia share me in a group in Australia?
Every time
a cannabis Australian
Sanders
cannabis group
started thinking about reaching out to black people, Jeff Weaver himself was in his ear. This was like the actual campaign information that I didn't know was real.
This is some boring shit that I do not want to talk about. Holy shit. I went into the wrong fucking chat room. Hey, she's still in that room. I think I can go back in. Why did Jacob Granger get blocked out of that fucking chat room? I wonder.
And he's like, I don't know. And then, and I started looking into it, and I'm like, oh, he's cool.
And then he's like, not actually a socialist, but
Right.
he's a social democrat.
Social democrat, yeah. Social democrat.
Right.
But hey, that's why
anything.
That's why I think his campaign was like really kind of like valuable, because like so many people, like for the first time in their lives, they perked their ears up. They thought, wow, what's socialism? They, you know, it brought people like us together. Like I kind of cut my teeth during the days of like the Occupy Wall Street movement. That's when I think that I kind of had my like activist awakening, for lack of, I don't know, that's kind of a shitty term, but like whatever, like that's kind of like when I came to like realize like, oh wow, I really want to be an activist. I'm an anti-capitalist. Like the system's completely fucked. Like we need to have something completely different. And that Occupy was that for me. But for a lot of people, it was the 2016 election and the brazenness that they used when they just completely suppressed Bernie and rigged primaries and the coin tosses and stuff. I was in Philadelphia in 2016. I was protesting.
Pangender, what's that mean? Where's Billy? Billy! Where's my linguist? Billy! What is pangender, Billy? Hey, Noopy. Hey, Aussie here. Great. Where's more? Bring more Australians in here, mate.
Wow.
By the end of the week, I was literally going up to everyone I knew that lived in Philly, and I was like, yo, can I please shower at your house? I will pay you $20 if you let me shower at your house. It was nuts. But like, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I lived under a rock at that point, like in 2011 when Occupy happened. Like, I was literally like first semester in college, like freshman in college, and like.
You're 10 years younger than me too, so that's okay.
Yeah, like I was literally like.
Oops, what happened?
19 yet? Okay, like I was literally like.
What just happened? Oh, they turned me on. They turned my mic on. So sometimes it lags when that does that.
Elections coming. That was my senior year in college because I stayed for 5 years, and like I didn't really pay too much attention. I was just starting to look into it, and I was like, who's this Bernie person?
I make sure I follow everybody
like,
in the
by the time I actually paid attention and started following Bernie and like looking into it, it was too late. I didn't know what a primary was at that point, but like it was too late. Like he had already, whatever, like Hillary was already going to be the nominee. And,
that's
like,
the room I was in originally.
I still voted for Hillary because I like still didn't really know
Bitcoin's,
the whole extent of the bullshit, right? Like, I was like, oh, he didn't get it, but it's okay. I'll just vote for Hillary. She's not Trump, kind of thing, you know, whatever. And then I really, after that, I really started getting into, like,
here on Bitcoin.
podcasts, and, like, ironically, like, Bill Maher is kind of, like, was my introduction, kind of, to, like, the left, LOL. And then, like, you know, I you know, started transitioning to other, like, podcasts and getting more, like, knowledgeable about things, whatever, and here we are. But, like, I literally didn't know anything during Occupy. I didn't know Occupy was happening until I watched a documentary on it, and I was like, what the fuck just happened? And then once I learned about that, I was like, oh shit, and, like, it all kind of started coming together because, like I said, I, you know, have, like, an accounting degree, and I learned about nothing but capitalism for 5 fucking years. So when I just, it all, like, with Bernie, it kind of just connected the dots for me, right? Like, he was like, oh, the millionaires, billionaires, 1%, and the stuff he started saying, I was like, oh shit, this is true. And, like, it just connected the dots for me because I've been learning about this shit for fucking 5 years, right? And then, like, when you put it into that context about, like, it just made so much sense. And I was like, oh shit, like, he's right. And you know, that's how that happened. And then
that's why I get, like, so annoyed
my
with, like,
portfolio is still at
20%,
guys.
Bernie isn't real socialist. I'm like, no shit, but that's not the point.
During this massive drop
is that everyone's gonna see
my portfolio
how
is
corrupt the DNC is, putting their thumbs on the scale, like, completely fucking over their guy, and then, like, that's gonna piss them off even more, and they're gonna be like, okay, fuck this fake socialist bullshit. Like, what's the real shit all about? Like, you know, and then here we are today. Like,
yeah. And don't get me wrong, like, Bernie's not perfect. No politician's perfect. Like, he's obviously made a lot of mistakes, whatever. I know he's, like, basically carrying water for Biden right now. I get it. Like, I'm not here to praise anybody, but at the same time, I would not be where I am right now.
Like,
if Bernie didn't win, if Bernie didn't run. Wait,
he helped pipeline a lot of people towards the left.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was a really important thing.
That's true.
And, like,
that's what I would say. Like, I would not be here where I am right now with all these views if Bernie did not run in 2016, hands down.
He highlights a lot of problems of American capitalism.
Yeah.
But he doesn't, like, say that there's an alternative. He just says that we need to, like, reform and, like, we need to, you know...
He's a reformer.
Like, fix.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and, like,
Social Democrat.
Again, he's not perfect, nothing like that. I'm not gonna say, you know, oh, Bernie's perfect, blah, 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 but nothing like that. But again, like, I would not be where I am right now if it weren't for him.
My issue with him is that he did call for a political revolution, right? So that is trying to radicalize the system, but then he never actually fulfills that by, like, going third party or by having another means within the system. Like, he's definitely playing. He's like, I want a political revolution within the system that we already have, and you literally cannot have a revolution.
Oh, Tay's the only person in Australia you can think of.
That's kind of, like, contradictory to, like, what you're trying to do.
What about J-Bone Omerta? What about no comment?
A revolution, like,
Omerta, no comment.
And it's like, the thing is, like, reform.
How many pounds do you think
isn't
this
gonna
year from 1 to
work
5?
in this system? Like, it's just not gonna. Like, we've seen it fail time and time again. Like, look at the quote unquote criminal justice reforms that have been tried, like with the police and whatever. Like, that shit doesn't work.
That I've got out there that I've
it doesn't
harvested
fucking
this
work.
year?
Like, you cannot reform
Indoor and outdoor combined.
Because, like, it's rotten at its core. Because it's centered around
I pick up the cola
around austerity
from
the
plant number one of those center colas. And I can't fucking believe how heavy
and I
that
think
fucker
that's
is.
kind of like, I think, like, a lot of people, like, they hear us talking like that, and they think, oh, well, you're just
to
being
me,
a
it feels
defeatist.
like it's fucking 5 pounds.
I want to give up, and it's like, no, quite
just
the
the
opposite.
center cola,
like,
which
I'm
is the
giving
center
up on
cola,
this
and it's
system.
got
that doesn't mean that
offshoots
there isn't a better
that are
system
nice
that we
big
can
fat
build,
buds
like,
on them.
You know?
Man, it's still wet.
No system is going to be perfect.
So I have a feeling a lot of that's moisture, you know.
People are not perfect, and
Shiba Inu is down to 22%.
It's just not going to be perfect ever. But, like, some shit's got to be better than this.
Bitcoin,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, we don't have to settle
at 58.7, great place to buy.
Like, any system
I think I'll buy a little bit of Bitcoin if I could,
like,
but I'm using my phone
starving,
right now.
children starving, like, home, like, this.
So then, like, I would just look at socialist countries that are existing today and, like, just look at, like, how they manage.
They probably won't let me buy any Bitcoin.
Use their resources.
They got me cut off.
Allocate, you know, money and needs, you know, accordingly, you know.
Yeah.
Like China getting rid of poverty, you know,
Give me some of that 58.8.
Propaganda, like, oh, socialism means government controls everything.
Oh my God! I bought Bitcoin at 58.8.
Means we all have to use the same toothbrush.
Exactly. But like bread lines or whatever the hell people say. But like, it's like no.
Red lines in
Like,
Texas.
people don't. Yeah, like people don't understand. Capitalism is fucking authoritarian. Capitalism is tyranny. Like people don't get that. Like look at a corporation. Look at a capitalist corporation. Okay, you have the CEO. It's top down. It's not democratic. It's not horizontal. It's vertical, right? Like you have the CEO. You have the middle management. You have the work. Like you're being dictated at your workplace. Like it's a dictatorship.
Watch, it's gonna go down to 54.5 or something.
Capitalism's not democratic.
But what about 58.8? Now it dumped. 58.9.
Like it just doesn't make any sense.
That's why I wonder why there isn't.
I didn't even look at it. I just bought it. Isn't that funny? Well, I'm looking at the I'm looking at this.
Yeah, easy co-ops.
And
You know? I'm looking at this. You guys want to see it? You want to see the dump?
But like one thing that nobody talks about is co-ops. Like I would love to see 80.
Look at that dump, guys. Look at all the red.
Of jobs in America be co-ops, because now you're by
And oh my God, it's a healthy fucking drop, man. This is not bad for the market to do this at all.
My opinion is for those corporations that's big enough, and we need that for whatever reason. Let's say we need that corporation. All right.
58.1. 58.1 is the low. It's at 58.9 right now. 58.9, 92, 93, 94. People like me wanted that sweet 58.8, man.
I live in Frederick, Maryland, about an hour outside DC in Baltimore, and my business partner who handles the site, graphics, design, development, coding, things like that, lives in DC. We actually met during the Occupy Wall Street movement. There's a little bit of information about us and our history on the website if you want to go check it out. But I think that Alex was getting ready to say something, so I don't want to cut Alex off.
No.
Feel
It's
really
fine.
good about
I'm
this
talking a lot
purchase of
anyway, but I was just gonna say with the co-ops, like.
You never know when you're going to
Okay,
get that
so
opportunity. You know, I'm up at 1 o'clock in the morning,
way,
and it
like,
happened. Usually I'd be sleeping right now. We'd
traditional,
all be
like I
sleeping.
guess,
A lot of us
quote
would be
unquote,
sleeping.
traditional capitalist
Not you
corporations work is like you
Australians,
have like the
not
board
you
of
mites.
directors and you have the shareholders,
Not
right?
you
So, like,
mites.
the shareholders
at all.
dictate everything. Like the shareholders literally.
Bad
like,
Brad
the people who
retweeted
invest
me.
in the business, aka not labor.
Hey,
Control
it's the guy with the
everything.
pinky
So, like,
ring
co-op
and
is
the New
completely
York
opposite
thing.
of that. So
Forget
that's why
about
co-ops,
it.
Because in co-ops, like the workers control the business, and like the workers own the business. So like,
That's what socialism is.
yeah,
Like
exactly. So
workers
like,
owning
right. Because like the people who create, the value should get that value, right? Not just these people that invest money and don't do shit. They just sit on their ass and like, oh, press some buttons and like give some money and like, oh, now I get all this money back and fuck the workers. Like that's bullshit. That's exploitation.
That's funny.
So like, that's why
People who own
the
the
stock market is
businesses and
so
employ the workers.
fucked up to me. Like investing in stocks because it's like
Look, man,
you're literally exploiting
I know
people
the
by
way
investing
they
in
want
these
it to
stocks
be.
because
I understand it. There might
like
be
instead
solutions,
of the workers
you know?
getting the value,
There might be a
you're getting the
compromise.
value in like dividends and in like increased value in stock. Like you're getting the value, not the workers. So it's like
You're taking their wealth.
exactly,
The wealth that they created.
exactly,
Hey,
and it's just very.
is there a compromise between capitalism and socialism or communism?
No. They're both antithetical to each other. They cannot exist within each
I
other.
mean, technically, there's a
So-
compromise. I don't know that it would work long term, but
Mutualism, perhaps.
Yeah.
Mutualism.
Yeah, like
there is an option to where, yeah, like there's an option to where like you could have like more workers on the boards, or like you could give like,
yeah, but that's just like reformism, really.
exactly.
Like, you know?
You could give some workers like some shares or something in the business, but like ultimately you're still gonna have that board. You're still gonna have the other shareholders that don't work there. They're just investing and getting returns, and it's like it's just completely.
But
It's just
when we were
it's
regulating,
system.
corporations heavily, back in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. Well, and then
Those are
we unregulate,
reforms.
right?
And those were actually reforms, like pressured from like socialist and communist
Yeah.
parties back then in the 30s.
Yeah.
The reason why you have your labor protections is because communists and socialists died for
Right.
them.
And then
You know.
corporations basically bought the government, and then now they're undoing all of those like good quote unquote
Yeah, right after
socialist
World
like
War II.
reforms. So it's like
military-industrial complex
exactly
really came into play, and that really fucked us up.
Exactly, and it's
right.
like that's why.
Right.
We accelerated, like, since it was like our big enemy was now the Soviet Union, we accelerated like imperialism and interventionism, and that exacerbated poverty all around the world and created immigration and everything. So
it's like
we like,
that's the problem with reforms though, because it's like they can always be undone by the corporate like fucking oligarchy, right? Like they're always going to be undone or like worn down. Reforms are not
like
sustainable.
Social security was once a good thing for people. Now it's shit, and now people are like trying to like you said, like you were talking about earlier, Alex. Like old people are like investing their savings into the stock market because there's no government social security, no public, works, things like that. Like
you're not taking care of you.
That's why if we want things to last, we gotta make a constitutional amendment of it. So, for example, Glass-Steagall, I wish we would have made Glass-Steagall a constitutional amendment, and now it's a lot harder to repeal it. Instead of just having it repeal, I think it was under Clinton.
They're talking about the regulation.
What's that guy's name? I forgot his name, but he was a Democrat that helped repeal or just write a bill that made it possible to do what Glass-Steagall prevented.
Yeah, Glass-Steagall was like FDR era. Yeah,
exactly.
Very important. Very important.
Exactly, and a constitutional amendment would have to get struck down by the Supreme Court.
I don't know if this is right or not, but like, didn't the repeal of Glass-Steagall kind of lead to the the volatility of like the market causing the 2008 crash?
It led to the crash. Yes.
Yeah. Like that shit is that shit matters, and like
it does.
Bill Clinton kind of like did it, like, just easy, like Democrats, that's.
Yep. And like I was talking about earlier.
Thank you, Mason.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was talking about earlier, like how also just feel free to interrupt me. I talk way too much and I just ramble. But like I was talking about earlier with the stock buybacks used to be illegal because it's market manipulation. And then of course Reagan fucking,
regulated it. So how we talked about earlier, we talked about Chile and how that government was overthrown and appointed by Augusto Pinochet. Well, it wasn't just like a mindless, right-wing dictatorship. It was specifically a testing ground for neoliberalism. 1973, right? So that process was carried out in Chile, opening up markets, liberalizing them, like free markets, so to speak. They're not really free markets.
No, absolutely
because if
not.
they're free markets, people would be more in control of their lives in Chile. And that neoliberalism, that testing ground, it was then implemented in the 1980s through Ronald Reagan. You hear the trickle-down economics, lower taxes, and, less deficit spending, when really there was more deficit spending for, like, the military and, like, subsidizing large corporations and, like, using that, the money that is, being taxed is from the ordinary working people being overtaxed, over like just a huge tax burden on poor working class people, and that goes to war, that goes to Wall Street, that's what happens. That's what neoliberalism is,
It is, but like it's bullshit too, because like they don't even have to. Like I don't know how many of you like know about or like know much about like MMT, but like this is the thing. When they appropriate things, like, okay, in Congress, when they're like, oh, we're going to fund Medicaid by, like, $1 million or whatever, they literally print that $1 million and give it to whatever they appropriate it to, like, again, Medicaid, like, oh, we're going to print this money and give it to Medicaid, okay? If they don't tax it all back, that is what causes the deficit. So, like, they print $1 million, say they don't tax that $1 million back all the way, say they only tax, $500,000 back, then they have a $500,000 deficit, right? So like they don't have to tax it all back. Actually, when they don't tax it all back, there's more money in circulation, so like it's better for the economy that way. But anyway, it's just it's the whole deficit hawk bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. They can print the fucking money. Like they literally are deciding not to fund Medicare for all. Like literally, they can just print the fucking money. They just refuse to, right?
Money's not real.
Exactly. Like, they distract everybody with, oh, we don't have the fucking money because debt and deficit and fucking inflation and shit. Like, what the fuck ever. Y'all could literally print that fucking money and control the inflation by, like, fucking, you can literally raise interest rates. Exactly. There's so many fucking things they can do. They just don't miss me with the bullshit, you know?
It goes back to what you were saying earlier about the concept of leverage. If they start doing too many nice things for us, then we're going to get too used to it. We're going to continue to expect it. And we're not going to be able to put up with, you know, the bare minimum bullshit anymore.
It's like if we had, like, let's say, like, tomorrow we get Medicare for all, right? We get, you know, free healthcare. First time in our lives, people get free healthcare. You know, richest country in the world. And then they say, oh, we're going to take it away. Nobody, Republicans, you know.
Once you give people something, you can't take it away.
Yep. Which is why they've been trying to fucking take away Social Security, defund Social Security for fucking how long? And like, which is absolute bullshit because they keep saying, listen,
I'm making money.
They keep saying, oh, Social Security's gonna run out of money. No, it's fucking not. You know why? Because you literally, and this is something they actually do tax. They literally take it out of your fucking paycheck. It's not gonna run out of money because you take it out of everybody's fucking paycheck every week.
Yeah, you can look at how much you get taken out. Like, just look at your pay stubs.
You're not gonna run out of fucking money. It's coming out of people's paychecks as we speak. It's not some fund where it's not being accumulated. It's literally taken out of people's fucking check every fucking week. And like, if you actually lifted the cap on that shit, because it's like, fuck, I don't know. I took so many tax classes on a CPA. I don't fucking remember, but it's like fucking 6,000 or 7,000. Like, anything above 7,000 isn't taxed for Social Security. If you lifted that fucking tax, you know how much more money you'd have for Social Security? But they're not gonna fucking do that because you know why? Because they don't want to tax fucking rich people. And
you guys, look at this.
Again, this isn't that they actually tax for this. It's not like this is actually funded by taxes. I mean, they could just print the fucking money. They should, but like, you know, Social Security actually is paid for by like taxes out of your paycheck anyway. But they could just print the fucking money. So like that whole argument about Social Security's gonna be run out of money is absolute bullshit anyway. So like that's bullshit. But yeah, you're right.
That is a big head and shoulders.
I just hate when people talk about that and don't mention that it's bullshit because it's literally bullshit.
That means upward
Much
growth.
love to y'all. I'm gonna head out of here, but I love the conversation and hopefully you guys got to know me a little bit more than I hardly tweet like personal stuff. It's usually just clips and stuff. So, all right, much love to you.
Right on. Nice listening to you, bro.
It was fun. Thanks for getting to know us better.
Yeah, no problem.
But yeah, it's literally bullshit, and like, I don't know, it pisses me off.
And this goes back to like what we were talking about how like, is there any kind of like compromise between socialism and capitalism? The other part of that conversation is that like, so much of people's wealth as it exists today is generational, and that's something that not everyone has had access to.
Nope.
Like, you know,
especially if you're an immigrant family, bro, just jack shit, bro.
Correct. Color in general.
Like we're all still living paycheck to paycheck, like everybody. Even
my brand icon is like, my brand icon is like pink and bluish and purplish, but like my skin is white. Like I don't have like a profile picture up on this account. My other account is at copywriters, like copywriters, but copywriters.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so that's my other account. I have my picture up there, but like, just full transparency, like I have white privilege and I own that. Like, so many people just do not have access to generational wealth. So even if we were to just say, okay, let's just have a compromise or whatever, like, we're still not going to be able to make up for the fact that like all the wealth that I have, like, and I don't have much myself. Like I have peripheral wealth. Like my business, we're just getting started. Like we're not like profitable yet. Like we're still like in the red. I'm living with my parents. Like I'm not trying to front or anything and act like I'm, you know. But like, let's say for example, my solar co-op does start making a whole bunch of money and stuff. Like I already know that like for one, I want to structure the business like a co-op because that's just who the fuck I am. Like I want to practice what I preach and live my values. And if I start getting to the point where my needs are met and I'm stable and secure and I can keep gas in my car, what's the hybrid by the way, and
I have a hybrid too.
Have food in my refrigerator that I bought myself with my own my mortgage or whatever. Like, that's not something I can currently do, but that's the dream, you know, that's the dream.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be fucking Elon Musk. I don't want to be a fucking millionaire or a billionaire. Like, Jesus Christ, if I'm making $100,000 a year, I will be so happy. Like, if I'm making $100,000 a year, I'm giving back as much as I can to my community. Like, I'm gonna be bottom lining the local food not bombs by myself if I have to. Like, I don't give a fuck.
Y'all saw how
Like,
made $36 billion in one fucking day.
that's enough to end hunger worldwide.
I know, like homeless. Like you can, bro. It makes me so mad because I have a friend who, me and him, like grew up in the same neighborhood and everything, and he's white, so his like. And his dad's like an engineer, so like he has like a little bit more privilege, and I don't know, like he just likes Elon Musk, and like I don't get it. Like, I don't get why people like him, and it's always like white college kids, like white college straight men, you know? It's like what's the deal with that motherfucker?
I just saw an interview with Elon Musk, and he had Jack Dorsey. It was Shiba Inu that was hosting the interview, and it was mortifying. They were talking about AI being introduced into the blockchain, and all I could think is dystopian future, and these guys have already achieved it. You know, I could say so much about it, but I'm not going to bore you guys.
Honestly, it would just make this so into a doomer chat. Like,
right.
Talking about AI makes me feel so doomer because I know like AI is not the problem. It's just the ownership of AI and like you know, technology. Yeah. So that's, and the ownership is not with us. So that's
just remember, it was AI that crashed those Boeing 737 Maxes and killed 350 people because they locked out the pilots.
I didn't hear about that, but that sounds fucking terrible.
It was 2019. And you know, there's a good and a bad, you know, and there's a good side, and there's a good side to social media. I feel the bad part of social media is the AI part of it, where they have AI that's determining, you know, who should be silenced, and then the tech support people claim we don't have control over the algorithm. It's mortifying for someone like me that does podcasting, you know.
Yeah. Well,
did you see the recent thing that was released about how Facebook was assigning like a heavier weight to angry reacts than it was to all the other reacts, which means that content that makes people angry was more likely to show up in people's news feeds.
This is what I was talking about today. The exact same thing.
Because doesn't it, like, I mean, it's done for a reason, right? Because it generates more ad revenue.
Well, yeah, they're making money. And I said Ashley Babbitt is a perfect example of that. She was driven to the Capitol and got murdered there for, you know, going to Facebook groups and being convinced that the election was stolen, and she ends up getting murdered. And, you know, that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the AI that was constantly feeding her brain with propaganda, you know?
Right. So, AI is not necessarily an enemy, it's just who has control of AI. My hope,
we don't have control of AI.
My hope is that maybe like AI decides like, wow, fuck these people. Like,
it won't.
I should be on the side of the proletariat.
It's not
like,
the computer from
that's
War
my
Games.
hope, is that someday like some level of like intelligence evolves to the point where AI realizes how destructive capitalism is and how destructive.
You could teach it how to play tic-tac-toe. And that's one of my favorite movies is War Games. I love that. Hey, we could just teach AI, you know, that war doesn't make sense, and then all will be well, and Terminator will never happen. Sarah Connor.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, didn't the AI was like there was no way to win the game, like, so there's no point in playing it, like, kind of thing.
I love these guys.
Right.
I love these guys.
About the movie, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love these people. They're great.
But yeah, no, capitalism sucks. I'm pretty sure we all agree on that.
Well, you know, I said that crypto would kill capitalism, communism, and
I'm just trying to figure out how I can use solar to help the planet and help people save money and create new workaround industry in the most ethical manner possible. I know there's no like true form of like totally ethical. No. I know that there's always going to be problems. Like, you know, I don't know like exactly how all the panels are manufactured. I know that like for rooftop solar, I can have some degree of control over that. I can be like, you know what, I'm only going to install panels that were made in the USA because I know that there's no chance that they were manufactured with like forced labor in another country. But for something like community solar, which is a little bit different than rooftop solar, those are like the solar farms. Like, I don't know, like those panels could be coming from anywhere. Like, I don't really have any control over the supply chain like that.
I know a lot about solar.
I do my best.
I've got a good background in it, and I can
That's
just
cool.
I can tell you right now, man. I literally just emailed Dr. Guy McPherson yesterday. He responded back within 5 minutes, and I asked him. I said, with all the with global warming and increased heat, and now we're going to have increased rain events, is that going to render our solar panels kind of useless? And he says, I'm afraid that's just a little bit of what we're going to be looking at. He said he literally used the word Armageddon, and I was like, oh geez, I wish I never even sent the damn email to him. Armageddon.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a crisis that humanity is not really prepared to reckon with. Like, I think that what you're talking about is like a legit concern, but I don't think that there's going to be like worldwide storms like all the time, which is why I think it's so important to have multiple methods of power generation. So you want to rely on solar, you like, even as much as like coal and fossil fuels fucking suck, like if in the event that the entire grid goes offline, you're gonna need some type of fossil fuel to bring it back up. That's just how it is. Like, your nuclear is going to need to be part of the equation. Thorium reactors are going to need to be part of the equation in the future. There's basically, thorium reactors are very, very safe. They produce very little waste. Obviously, my niche is solar. Wind is going to, like, even though I work in solar, I'm still a proponent of wind. I like to rag on it on the brand account and, like, make jokes and stuff and, like, be like the Wendy's account and all that shit and, like, troll and stuff. Like, that's fun. But I believe in the need to have multiple systems of generation, because what ends up happening is if you only rely on one method of power generation, then there's one centralized point of potential failure or collapse.
Hey, Lollipop 10. Question. How's it going?
Sure.
For someone that doesn't like own any property, like I don't own any land, I don't own a home, and I probably will never own a home in my life for as long as I can tell. But like, and because I'm probably just going to be like an apartment renter for most of my 20s, like, am I able to like have solar power? Like yes. Is that a possibility? Like, just
the short answer is yes, and the long answer is that you will not own the panels, but that's part of what I do. I don't know what state you're in, but I have what's called Texas. Yeah, got you. Well, I don't think I have community solar enrollment space in Texas yet. Texas may have a community solar plan in the future. They may have one right now, and I just may not have access to any like solar projects in the Texas area. But I can't do anything with that. But that's okay. Like, it's bigger than me. Like, trying to beat the climate crisis. I don't give a fuck about making money. I already know that's gonna happen no matter what. It's like trying to be able to help as many people as possible. But like, the technology that you want and the technology that you should push your local representatives for is called community solar. And there's multiple states all around the United States that have community solar programs. And basically the way that works is you don't own the panels, but they build the developers build these massive fields full of solar panels, and then you map out your home or your apartment, you map out your electricity usage, and that lets you know about how much of the solar farm you're going to need for your house. And then you get a renewable energy savings credit applied to your bill. The value of the credit tends to vary. In some states, it's 10. Some states even have like low and moderate income programs. Really cool. Like, I know, like in Baltimore, close to where I live recently, we had low and moderate income program eligibility, and the discount is worth 25%, and it's a guaranteed contractually. It's written in the contract. Like, there's no construction that happens in your house, no home ownership required. So that's a really cool technology that's starting to come out now. It's called community solar, so keep your eyes peeled for that.
Can I just throw this out there?
My local
when you said you're looking for an apartment and he's talking about solar, man, look for a rental home that is bank owned. Okay? Don't get a rental home. Look for a rental home that's bank owned. Don't get a rental home from a private individual. Even a real estate or rent management company would be fine. A large corporation, preferably. Bank owned would be great. The reason why you want to do this is you go ahead and you get your solar on the roof, right? Get that done on the rental home. Let's say something happens. Let's say society collapses. Let's say, we have a COVID times 10, or, a freaking meteor hits, or a volcano erupts, whatever. You're in a home, and nobody's going to come to your house and try to take it away from you. The bank is going to disappear. If you're renting, if you're number one, if you're in an apartment, none of this is on the table. So you're looking for a house with really good sun exposure, preferably a well. And I could get way into this with you guys, but let me tell you, I'm living really comfortably, completely off grid. And some people, when they think of off grid, they think of a person living in a mobile home or something like that, or you're living out in the woods. I'm living in a gorgeous 2-story home on 6 acres, completely off grid. I know a lot about it, and I could talk for hours about it. I talk about it on my show all the time, but I'm not going to get into it right now. Well, thank you so much. I don't want to bore you guys with all the details and stuff, but I just wanted to say and throw it out there. If you guys have questions about it, I can totally answer it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I honestly, like, as far as I go, like, I can only install on the house if you own the house, but the other side of what I do is community solar, so I have 2 options, basically, so I can cover both homeowners and renters. But if you're relying on, like, think about, like, the fact that 25% of roads in the United States, my roads, who will build the roads? 25% of roads in the United States are actually at risk of, and it's not just roads, it's all critical infrastructure. 25% of all critical infrastructure in the United States is at risk due to climate change. So that includes, like, police stations, schools, hospitals, daycares, roads, power lines,
we can
railroad
forget the
tracks.
police stations, but everything else, yeah. We can forget the police stations, but everything else.
No, no, for real. Fuck the police. I'm on board with that. But, like,
fuck the police.
25% of critical infrastructure in the and, like, that's a big deal. Like, still think about trying to transport, like, coal and fossil fuels and gas and stuff when, like, obviously fuck coal and fuck gas and all that stuff, but, like, if we just instantly overnight society was completely unable to get it, like, we would be talking about, like, revolutionary conditions in a matter of, like, 5 days to 2 weeks. Like, if there was no more, like, nobody can fill up their tank, like, and I'm saying, like, all it takes is, like, these storms and stuff, like, this stuff just wallops the shit out of us, and we're all just completely unprepared. And we look right out in the Pacific Ocean right now off the coast of LA. Look at the supply chain, like, clusterfuck that's happening right now. Imagine that happening, like, on our roads because of, like, massive amounts of flooding that we're completely unprepared to deal with. Or, it's like, on the West Coast, like forest fires 20. And stuff like that. Can you imagine being the truck driver that's like, yeah, you got to drive this massive tanker full of oil through this giant raging forest fire and get it to Portland? Like, are you going to drive that tanker truck full of gasoline to Portland through a raging forest fire? I'm sure as fuck not going to do that. Like, so we're talking 25%, not just roads, but all critical infrastructure in the United States is at risk of disruption from climate change. So that's why I advocate for having, like, a decentralized and kind of, like, the system that I advocate for is called decentralized microgridding, which is the United States is currently split into 3 different grids. There's the West Coast grid and the East Coast grid, and it's kind of like split down the middle in the Rockies area. And then Texas has its own grid, which is separate. It's called ERCOT. And that's a horrible way to do things, because our energy grid is like old as fuck. It's like really antiquated. It's really outdated technology, and all it takes is like a few key, substations being knocked out or whatever, and we're talking about potentially dealing with coast-to-coast blackouts. And if that happens, we're looking at like 90% casualties over like 2 years of time. So like energy disruption is one of the biggest risks that the United States faces right now. This is why I get so pissed off and freaked out, because I feel like, all these empty suits, they like to get up on TV and talk, and they're all like, oh yeah, we got a plan, blah, 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 blah. Joe Biden munching on his ice cream and shit, like, cool, like, whatever. Like, but they're not talking about this kind of stuff. So that's why I think that we need to have, instead of having like 3 large grids, we need to have like thousands of small grids that can all basically reinforce each other and provide backup for each other in the event of like some type of like catastrophic disruption. Because even if like one goes offline, there will be others around in the nearby areas, and you might have like things like flickering lights and like intermittent power outages and stuff, but you're not going to have any coast-to-coast blackouts. So something that's not really a pleasant conversation, but it's something that everyone should know about.
Yeah. It's so fucked, bro. Imagine being born into it. And that, I don't know. It's like all I've heard growing up is like, climate change, and then now it's like gonna get here soon, and it pretty much is here already, but like, it's just learning more about it. It's so,
yeah. That's gonna be something off in the future, like, even me, like, but nah, like, shit's gonna hit the fan within our lifetimes. It's very, very, very possible. It's probable even.
Yeah, and the thing about it is too, like, we live in a capitalist, like, yeah.
Hey, Rom.
I forgot you motherfuckers still here. Shit.
What's up, bro?
Rome, what's up?
I love how Rome's already back to 5,000 followers. Times they try to ban you now.
I know I'm on my team still.
Wild.
Remember, Rome came on the show, guys.
Just gotta build it stronger and stronger.
His old Twitter handle was "Look, it's a black atheist."
Be able to kill you.
We got really high, and I don't remember any of it.
No, I don't work at 7.
Rome, we got so high during our interview, I don't remember any of it. Do you?
I don't know. I don't remember no show. I just remember the show I did 2 weeks ago.
You don't remember any of it.
Time moved fast as hell.
Yep.
Shit, man. There's so much shit to talk about. When you learn new shit, it's only,
That was the most cannabis I ever smoked on an interview.
I don't remember a lot of shit, man. Like, I remember people, I remember faces, voices, but I'm talking about fuck no.
Yeah, but you were hitting it, bro, and I was trying to keep up with you. And that when I do interviews, I generally like take a bong hit or maybe a second one. But you and I were smoking since the minute we started.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
I was thinking about doing a dab.
Swiping motions in the air. What the fuck?
A dab right now.
Shit. All right, I don't know. I'm gonna let y'all have this one.
I'm about to go back to sleep. I'll let y'all have this one. I gotta let my co-host in, and she gotta go. Cause I'm about to go back to sleep. I'm tired.
He's going back to sleep.
Hey, good night, bro. Appreciate the space.
Yeah, I get to set my own hours, work whenever the fuck I want. Right now, I don't really have anything to do today, so it's like 5 a.m. where I'm at right now.
Same, and I have work in 2 hours, and I haven't slept at all.
Oh no! How long is your shift for?
7 to 3.
Okay, that's not terrible.
Yeah, it is. Still work fucking 8 hours, man.
But I've worked I've worked so much overtime this past week. I don't even know how I'm still alive.
Oh my god.
Wait, what do you do right now?
I'm a CPA.
Right.
She's asleep. Tomorrow she's asleep.
Right?
A sleepy A.
It's like an accountant, right?
Yeah, I'm an auditor though. Like I don't really do accounting. I do auditing. So like.
Yeah, but tomorrow you're gonna be a sleepy A.
That's very funny. Yes, I probably would. But like, I'm working from home right now, so like I could probably sleep and they wouldn't know.
That's convenient. I used to work overnights at Lowe's, and I was a night stalker.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so we did a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of overtime. Like it's not like an overtime like office job. It's like you're moving, you're unloading like trucks and driving forklifts and shit. Forklift certified. Anyway,
I'm yawning, y'all.
Wait, who was the grant accountant?
You guys aren't saying anything in the chat, huh? You know what I do when no one's saying anything in my chat?
Somebody was a grant accountant. I don't remember who it was.
Anybody got anything to comment? 59,240 Bitcoin. It's going back up, folks.
Bro, I feel you. I was a freaking server.
250. I bought it 58.8.
Making $213 an hour.
Son,
I get it.
I bought it 58.8.
Thank you.
I used to sleep on the job at Lowe's though. We used to climb up into the
lot of people bought, man. A lot of people bought in.
Installs where the people were getting ready to take all the carpet
going
to
up.
the
Yeah,
houses
she was
to
at
do
26%
installs.
now, Jacob.
So it was like 14
Yo,
feet
Jacob, you said you got blocked out of this
carpeting.
chat room. Why did you get kicked out of this chat room?
We would just go out there. We would just climb up these giant mountains of carpet, all rolled up, and just nap for like 2 hours.
Also, that sounds, well, that's cool. But also, I'm not an expert by any means, but if anybody has tax questions, I'll try to answer them. I don't do taxes for a living, but I know that shit's really confusing, so if people have questions, just let me know and I'll try. But again, I'm not an expert because I don't do taxes for a living, but technically I'm qualified.
No, luckily I actually have an uncle who does taxes, like on the side.
Oh, that's
good. When tax season comes by, he will always do my taxes at a cheap price and really get me a good refund.
Well, since I'm a CPA, I basically elected myself to do my family's taxes for the rest of my life, so.
That's dope.
I mean, I don't really have a choice. They're like, oh, do my taxes. I'm like, oh, fuck, what am I supposed to say no?
Yeah.
Is Julian still listening, Julian?
Oh, Dee. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, somebody kicked Jacob Granger out of here. He's actually one of my audience members. If you guys thought that maybe he was, you thought he was like a crypto person or something.
I'm not sure.
It was probably a glitch. It happened to me earlier. I don't think it's intentional.
It might not be intentional.
Yeah, it happened to me too.
Okay, cool. Thank you guys. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
See if you can follow me back in there, Jacob.
Exit the app and then open it again.
Okay. All right. I'll let him know that. She said to exit the app and reopen it so you can go back in.
You know what's weird about American schools? Like there's lunch debt. Like you can, like I would bring money every day to school. Like this is like 2005 to 2010, whatever. Like elementary school, and I'll bring $2. You know, just thought that would be enough. You know, that's all my dad would give me. And then I still go into debt, and they would take away my food. And,
go to my account. go to Nate's Garden, and I'll be lit up in purple. Just click on my avatar to get in.
I have a question.
You've been fucking following me all over. You know how to do it. Oh, there you are.
In whatever district you went to school in, did they have like free lunch or like reduced price lunch or anything? Like.
Yeah. They did, but like not for everyone. And like,
right.
My parents were like not cool sometimes.
Yeah.
So, like they wouldn't even like try to give me health care.
And now you're back
They wouldn't even try to like, you know, do any of that stuff. Like,
does
they would
anybody
just,
have anything in the chat to add
it was
before I end the show?
It was interesting.
I'm gonna stay in that chat on Twitter, guys.
Both my parents had health care.
But y'all are not even talking, so I don't even know if anybody's here paying attention.
And then like my dad just said like, oh, because it's too expensive. I'm like,
anybody
okay.
still watching besides
and
Jacob?
Like, my entire life I was always known to like, I always knew that I had no health care insurance, you know.
The only reason I had health care as a kid was because of Medicaid, so.
Yeah, and like, I don't know.
Literally, I had Medicaid until I was like, what, 18 when they cut you off, or 19 or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I mean, like, I got kicked out of my mom's house at 16, so it's like, it's always been like really weird for me. My parents are divorced.
Alright.